Who really built Starbucks? If you said Howard Schultz, you're only half right. Three men in Seattle created Starbucks in 1971. Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegl, and Gordon Bowker. They sold coffee beans, not drinks. Howard Schultz was just their marketing guy. He wanted to sell lattes. They said no. So he left, raised $1.7 million, opened his own shops, and then came back and bought Starbucks for $3.8 million. Today, it's worth $100 billion. The three original founders? They walked away with a few million and watched someone else build their idea into a global empire. This is the real story of Starbucks. Seattle, 1971. A city known for rain, fishing ducks, and not much else. Three friends, a teacher, a history writer, and a poet, opened a small store in Pike Place Market. They named it after a character in Moby Dick. They sold raw coffee beans. No cups. No lattes. No frappuccinos. Just beans. For 10 years, that's all it was. A small, quiet, local shop. Profitable enough. Then in 1981, a houseware salesman named Howard Schultz walked in to buy a coffee maker. He tasted the coffee. He asked for a job. They gave him one. 1 year later, Schultz traveled to Milan, Italy for a trade show. He walked into an espresso bar. The barista knew every customer by name. People weren't just drinking coffee, they were living inside the experience. America had nothing like this. He came back and told the founders, "We need to sell drinks, not just beans." They said no. Their vision was a coffee bean store, not a cafe. Schultz pushed for a year. They didn't move. So in 1985, Schultz left. He raised $1.7 million from 242 investors, 217 said no before he found his 25 yeses. He opened his own espresso bars called Il Giornale. 2 years later, the original founders decided to sell Starbucks. Schultz bought it for $3.8 million. He had the name. He had the stores. Now he had a vision nobody else could see yet. Starbucks was never really about coffee. Schultz built a feeling. He called it the third place, not home, not work, somewhere in between. Comfortable chairs. Soft music. Free Wi-Fi before Wi-Fi was everywhere. You could sit for 3 hours on one cup and nobody asked you to leave. Every detail was calculated. The name on the cup, personal, not just friendly. When a barista writes your name, even misspells it, you take a photo. You post it. Starbucks gets free advertising from millions of customers every single day. The seasonal drinks. Pumpkin Spice Latte launched in 2003. It has generated over $1.4 billion in revenue since then. One drink. 20 years. $1.4 billion. Not because pumpkin spice is extraordinary, because it only comes once a year. Scarcity creates desire. The loyalty app launched in 2011. Today it has over 32 million active members in the US alone. Those members spend 3 times more than regular customers. Starbucks holds nearly $1.7 billion in customer balances on that app at any given time, money people loaded in advance and haven't spent yet. That's more deposits than many American banks hold. Starbucks sold identity, routine, and belonging. Americans paid for it every single morning without thinking twice. By 1992, Starbucks went public. Stock jumped 25% on the first day. The expansion began with no breaks. 1996, first international store in Tokyo, Japan. Analysts predicted failure. Japan had a deeply rooted tea culture. Within a year, that Tokyo store was one of the highest-grossing locations in the entire company. Then came China. Every global brand had tried and struggled. Starbucks dominated. They adapted, larger stores, more luxurious, more social. In China, Starbucks became a status symbol. Holding that cup meant something about who you were. Today, China is Starbucks' second-largest market with over 7,000 stores. A new location opens there roughly every 9 hours. 35,000 stores. 80 countries. 400,000 employees worldwide. A new Starbucks opens somewhere on Earth approximately every 3 hours. The bigger Starbucks got, the more controversy followed. In 2012, Starbucks faced major backlash in the United Kingdom. Despite generating over £400 million in UK sales over 14 years, they had paid just £8.6 million in total taxes. Legal? Yes. Defensible to the public? No. The British government launched an investigation. Protests broke out outside stores. Starbucks eventually made a voluntary tax payment to control the damage. Then came the workers. Between 2021 and 2023, over 360 Starbucks locations in the United States voted to unionize, the largest unionization wave in the company's history. Workers cited low wages, unpredictable schedules, and understaffed stores. Starbucks spent millions in legal fees fighting the unions. The National Labor Relations Board filed over 80 complaints against the company for illegal union-busting tactics. $100 billion company. Baristas making $15 an hour asking for stable schedules. That tension exists. It doesn't erase the achievement, but it's part of the complete picture. 2007. Starbucks was opening 7 stores a day. Then the financial crisis hits. Paying $5 for coffee felt irresponsible. Sales collapsed. Stock dropped nearly 75%. Schultz had stepped back from the CEO role in 2000. By 2008, the board called him back. He made a decision that stunned the business world. He shut down every single Starbucks in America, all 7,100 locations, for one afternoon. February 26, 2008. He paid 135,000 employees to stand in closed stores and relearn how to make espresso properly. The stock market mocked it. Analysts called it theatrical. Schultz called it necessary. He closed 900 underperforming stores. Cut hundreds of millions in costs. Eliminated the breakfast sandwiches because the smell was masking the coffee aroma. He went back to the basics of what Starbucks was supposed to feel like. Within 2 years, profits doubled. Within 5 years, the stock had recovered everything it lost and climbed higher than it had ever been. 3 men opened a bean shop in Seattle with no ambition to conquer anything. One man walked in, bought a coffee maker, got rejected by the founders he worked for, got rejected 217 times raising money, bought their company anyway, and turned $3.8 million into $100 billion. The 3 founders sold their stake for roughly $4 million to $5 million total. If they had kept it, that stake would be worth somewhere between $30 billion and $40 billion today. Instead they watched from the sidelines while someone else built their idea into a global empire. Starbucks didn't win because of coffee. Thousands of cafés make better coffee. It won because Schultz understood that people don't pay for products, they pay for how a product makes them feel. Every name on a cup, every pumpkin spice season, every loyalty point was built around one question: how do we make this person feel like they belong here? That question built a $100 billion empire. Sometimes the person who starts the race and the person who wins it are not the same person. Whether that's inspiration or a warning, that's for you to decide.